Hadush Gerbeslassie Kabatu, convicted in September of sexual assault, was mistakenly released from HMP Chelmsford on Friday the 24th of October. He should have been transferred to immigration detention for deportation, and one officer has been taken off discharge duties while an investigation proceeds. Friday, he boarded a Chelmsford to London train. He got off at Stratford, East London. The Metropolitan Police has taken over the manhunt, citing high confidence as he's in London and has access to funds, apparently. A delivery driver told Sky News that he watched Kabatu return to reception 4 or 5 times, asking the staff what to do before being directed towards the station at the prison. This is a witness claim that aligns with CCTV timed movements, but is not yet a formal prison service account. The error appears to be a misclassification at discharge, with a £75 release grant issued as if he were on licence rather than a foreign national offender routed to removal. This is basically custody workflow failure at the prison immigration interface. And under current powers, foreign offenders can be removed once the threshold of time served is met. Kabatu had crossed that threshold and was due to go straight to an immigration removal centre. The failure sits in the handover from prison to immigration escorting, not in the legal authority to deport. Starmer has called the release totally unacceptable. The Justice Secretary David Lammy says he's livid and has ordered an investigation. Local MPs across parties are calling for rapid inquiry and accountability at senior level. Police advise calling 999 if he's seen. The Met is trawling transport and street CCTV. Their ask is for Kabatu to surrender. Communication should centre on the teenage victims' rights and protection orders already in place. But the problem really is this is about a failure of communication by the system. So the inquiry that will need to take place will have to ask questions like: was the deportation flag visible? And was an immigration escort booked and confirmed? If not, why did gate staff proceed? Was the duty governor oversight on a high-risk, high-profile case? What was that? What was it there? Was the releasing officer trained on foreign national offender workflows? Did immigration enforcement systems synchronise in time? And did alerts were alerts pressed or fired? Or and the recent rise in mistaken releases should surely have been in the mind of the prison service, and it means they haven't learnt anything. There are immediate fixes that are realistic. There need to be plans for no further releases of foreign national offenders without a clear escort booking. There needs to be a sort of dual sign-off of all releases where deportation markers exist. There needs to be some sort of custody screening that prevents printing a discharge pack if the deportation route is live. And there needs to be a watch list with transport police so that station staff get an alert when a person buys a ticket. If a mistaken release occurs, victims need to be notified automatically and immediately without a single point of contact from the offender. They need to be alerted, and care needs to be taken that they are protected. I think this particular story is a devastating indictment on the strain on our police force, on our prison force, and on our systems, and it all goes back to the Home Office and the failure of our systems. We have got to the point where we are too happy to write things down and then to hand it over to somebody else to implement it. We need to make sure that there's a follow-through. So often when you have dealings with government officials, you say something and then you have to say the same thing to somebody else because nothing is passed forward. And if nothing is passed forward when you're simply making a query about a passport or a visa, you can be pretty sure nothing is passed forward when you're releasing a prisoner or indeed taking a prisoner into custody. We've become too much in love with bureaucracy, and we think that bureaucracy, paperwork, does the job. It doesn't. Paperwork is open to error, and simply because you've written something down doesn't mean it's happened. And that's the error. That's the error that we are seeing throughout the system. Added to which, of course, I don't know whether this is true of the criminal system, but certainly in the non-criminal system, it's almost impossible to identify who has signed off what. There isn't a clear a clear record of who you've been talking to, and that needs to change across the system.